We're ready for action here, Sean?
I'm ready to go when you are.
Perfect. We're coming up in, let's see, about 2.5 minutes or so.
2.5 minutes. Okay, we're going to keep you down. If you can give me 30 seconds by text, and I'll throw up the volume.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, we have 2.5 minutes to chat about things. Why do police hate puppies? Private parts. We are dog people. I think we love everybody. I think there's a general frustration about how much people hate us, and I don't really think that there's a justification for all the dislike. You know, when there's bad people, people paint with a very large brush, large groups. Bad people are bad people. Good people are good people. And the unknown are the unknown. But to assume that everybody is bad based on a bad experience is an unfortunate situation. Hang on just one second. Good morning. Is everything... It is. I thought that was an emergency. It was not an emergency, but it is a call that I will get back to after the show because they want to know things. They want to know things right now, but now is not the time. I hope you're doing well, everybody. We're a little. What do you call it? Is it a rocky start? We're having issues on Instagram. Instagram is just. I've got a black screen and a window that says "Try again later." However, it appears to be working because I'm checking. I can see myself. So you actually have a picture, and yet it's. I'm not happy with Instagram. And did I mention we're not verified there? I don't know why, but we're not. Not going to go down that road. We are about to be joined by Jerry Agar on News Talk 10. It's the Jerry Agar Show on that channel. You can phone in 416-872-1010 or text 71010 to ask your questions. You can also ask them here on social media. YouTube is a great place. It's a live link, so everywhere that you are, if you're on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, you will get your questions. Now, Instagram, I am so sorry. No questions coming from you today because it's broken. Severely broken. And then when TikTok, we do have your the chat. It's going to be hard to navigate, so you might want to throw questions in. We're 30 seconds away from being on the air, so I'm going to put the volume up and wait for them. But you can also get us on Volley app. Yes, Volley app. Look on the VoiceOver Cop on Twitter, and you'll find the link to get into Volley app. I already have a question on Volley app. See? This is a Volley app question. And we're going to use it on the air. Who's going to hold the
Jerry Agar Show continues
licensing stuff
on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Thanks for being along. And another edition of the TikTok Traffic Cop. Sean Shapiro is with Traffic Operations in Toronto, and he's regularly on TikTok at Traffic Services. That's the handle, answering questions on traffic issues. And so we dip into it once in a while and take advantage of the opportunity. PC Sean Shapiro, good morning.
That's me. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Let's start with something. I asked John Moore about an hour ago on the air if he had anything that he would like to ask. And here's his question.
What does he make of people who put old tickets on the windshield and think that they're fooling the traffic cop?
Sean?
Well, the traffic tickets do nothing. Very often we see this with parking, and they're not fooling anybody. They still get tickets. Now, somebody driving by might assume, but it's usually the same officer, and they know whether or not they've issued a ticket. So if it works, it might work once. I doubt it'll work again.
All right. So what you're saying is I don't remember putting a ticket on that car.
Yeah. People are generally working the same area, and they know what they did.
Okay. Don't assume the traffic officer, the parking officer, is stupid. Is basically your answer.
Well, there's that. They're professionals. But beyond that, that doesn't mean you can only get ticketed once. One ticket does not mean you won't be ticketed twice.
Oh, so if I get a ticket and then you come around and I'm still parked there, I could start to get a stack of tickets?
I don't know the specifics as to how long, but I understand that you can get multiple tickets and you can be towed away.
Okay. Are we allowed to wear Crocs while driving? Somebody wanted to know.
So we get a lot of questions about footwear. Crocs or any other footwear are not regulated. So barefoot, flip-flops, all of those things are legal, but we don't suggest it. We suggest that shoes that are securely fastened, that allow you to really feel the pedals, are a good idea. Slippers and flip-flops can actually come off in a stressful situation and get lodged behind the pedals. So they can be more dangerous, but they're not illegal.
I thought it was illegal to drive barefoot from the standpoint that if you tried to hit the brake in an emergency and there was a little pebble or something that got stuck in there, you might get an automatic reflex of taking your foot off the brake.
I grew up thinking the same thing, and it's not illegal. It could be illegal in other jurisdictions, but not in Ontario. And I always say, in an emergency situation, you want to protect your toesies. Wear something that protects them. And truly, if you think about what happens in the event of a collision, you might be in a situation where you can't get your shoes. You're walking on broken glass now when you get out of the vehicle. So I think shoes should always be worn, but again, not legal, just suggested.
All right, here is Bruce from Burlington. Bruce, what's your question?
Hey, Jerry, thanks for taking the call. Yeah, okay, I was a transit driver for quite a few years, and I wanted to know the difference between it's got through the yield to the bus when the bus is pulling out of a bus stop, but there's a technicality in the law that says it has to be a bus bay, not necessarily a bus stop. And the law seems to be kind of condescending about the writing about that. Can you give me some information about that, please?
I can't say that I've spent a lot of time studying the wording versus bay versus stop, but my understanding, the sign on the back of the bus says you have to yield to that bus that's signaling to get back into the roadway. And if you're failing to yield, that enforcement can take place.
Yeah, well, the technicality I ran into, they said it has to be a designated bus bay, which means it's a cutout piece of from the shoulder of the road that's completely, three sides. And that's a bus bay.
I'll tell you what, I'll do some reading, and I will put up a video on our TikTok to answer that for you.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. The numbers are 416-872-1010 if you're in Toronto, 416-872-1010. You can call toll-free at 877-518-5151, 877-518-5151, and you can text us at 71010 to talk to the TikTok traffic cop. He's also on TikTok at Traffic Services, and we'll do some TikTok questions in a moment. Here's a text question, Sean. How do you pass a cyclist when they're riding on the yellow line that separates a two-line road, one line in each direction?
Okay, so they're to the left there. If they can't be to the right because of safety, if there's potholes or debris, they're entitled to a full lane. And you would need to pass them as though you were passing another motor vehicle, and you have to give them a meter worth of space for their safety. Now, if there is no reason they can't be on the right side of the lane, they should be on the right side of the lane. Now, obviously, if they're in the wrong place, you need to do what's safest, and that is give them that 1 meter rule and treat them. But they could be ticketed if they're in the wrong place for no justified reason and not maintaining traffic speed.
Here is Kevin from Georgetown. Kevin, go ahead.
Good morning, gentlemen. Wanted to get clarification on coming into a road construction zone. And I've read signs where when workers are present, you have to reduce the speed, say if it was an 80 down to a 60. I saw one sign where it said, even when workers aren't present. So how are you supposed to know if they're working or if they're not? Usually during the day they are, but do you have to reduce your speed when it's, say, 6 in the evening, when there's no workers there?
So there's cautionary signs and there's regulated signs. And if you come up upon a black and white sign, that's a regulated sign, that is the speed. And we will have signs erected in the city of Toronto to change the speed while construction takes place because the yellow signs are not enforceable. Now, if you're doing something that's dangerous and you're breaking the law, fines can be doubled when workers are present. That sort of thing takes place. But reducing your speed just because there's a yellow sign or an orange sign that for construction isn't enforceable. It is the right thing to do, however.
Right. Okay, so that's the construction company's putting that up, hoping everyone's going to abide by them.
They want to avoid dying.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's rule one for everybody. Try to avoid dying.
Yes, and showing up on the internet.
Yeah. It would seem that, if you're in your car, you're a little safer, but it would seem that a lot of bicycle riders and pedestrians are not that concerned about avoiding dying. And it kind of leads to a question that's always been a bugaboo for me. And somebody just wrote this in by text message, Sean. Why do pedestrians never get ticketed when the hand is flashing? It's so frustrating.
So they can be. The don't walk sign comes up and it tells people not to enter the intersection. And many people don't understand. They think it's the accelerate, walk quickly sign. It's not.
Yeah.
And you can be ticketed for entering the intersection and not yielding to traffic that are already in it. Like, there's a whole bunch of rules. Is it the focus of what we do? During blitzes, we'll do education. But very often we focus our efforts on motorists that are making the roads unsafe for others. And it frustrates many people, especially those that are being frustrated by the actions of pedestrians and cyclists. So people can be ticketed, but the focus is always on the big vehicle, the one that's causing the most damage or potential.
Sure, but the problem the pedestrians are causing, whether they realize it or not, and I think a lot of times they're just oblivious, but the problem they're causing is then cars aren't able to turn left and right, and it just causes more and more of a backup and gridlock.
100%.
And thing.
100%.
It's a system that's set up for us all to take turns and cooperate with one another. What kind of things are being asked on TikTok today?
So we got one question about, if I live in multiple provinces, do I have to keep changing my driver's license back and forth every 3 months? And in Ontario, if you are a resident here, and this is your primary residence, you have to change your address after 60 days, or within 60 days you have to apply. Now, if you are traveling back and forth, one of those residences is your primary, and the other one is something you're visiting. It's the primary you have to maintain.
All right. And how does the police officer, well, if you show a valid license, most of the time they don't care.
One of the things you'll see is very often they'll ask you some questions, and we do some, it's going to be the interpretation of the officer. You know, if someone tells me, here's my business card, I work here, but I travel for business, I'm in both places. It's just talking to people. Not every interaction results in a ticket, and something like that isn't a high priority situation. It's also not common.
For the first while that I was working here, my family was still in Chicago, and I was a permanent resident in Chicago, but I'm a Canadian citizen, so I was able to come here. And a lady at the airport, the island airport, in security, got a little confused by it. And she said, "What exactly is it you're doing? Where do you live? Where do you work?" And I was answering the questions, and then I got to, she said, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, I work at News Talk 1010 radio here in Toronto. I complain about the government full time." And she handed back my passport and said, "Well, good for you."
Well, I lived back and forth between Florida and Toronto for 5 years, and during that time, I had to tell the story every time I crossed the border because I had a visa to work there, and then I drove with a Canadian driver's license because my primary residence was here. So it is a unique situation. So I feel for the people that have to tell that story every single time.
Yeah. Do you have to slow down in the school zone when schools are closed for the summer?
Yes, you do. It's the posted sign, unless it's posted otherwise. There may be a sign saying except for certain months, but if the sign says 40, it's 40 regardless of the presence of children. It's because the communities there rely on and expect those speed limits to be maintained.
All right. So Sean Shapiro is with us. He is with people on TikTok right now as we're speaking. At Traffic Services will continue with us. Your calls, your texts, and questions on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Okay, we're going to fade to black and just get a 30-second count when we are ready to come back to the radio. I got a question from Neon about jurisdictional policing enforcement. We'll get back to that in just a few minutes. And hopefully Instagram still works, even though I'm still looking at an error screen. But last time I checked, you could see me, but I couldn't see you. Or I couldn't see myself. What is going on? We've got Brent, who's coming in from YouTube. We've got Tracy Bell coming in from LinkedIn, who sends good morning to Sean and Jerry. I didn't get a chance to convey that, but I did read it before I was on the air. So I sent positive energy to Jerry all about Tracy's good morning message. Let's see what's going on. Oh, and Q&A still doesn't work on TikTok. Interesting thing about this Q&A thing, if you've been following along as a regular listener or viewer or participant, what do we do here? The deal is that we used to have the Q&A function where you could ask us questions, and now we have random lightning Q&A, and we cannot see your questions despite having tried extensively to fix this. My voiceover cop channel, it works, but on this channel, it doesn't work, and I'm sure we'll get it sorted out, but it's been a month and a half, if not longer, and we know it's frustrating, so thank you for bearing with us. If you don't already follow us, please do. My name is Sean Shapiro, and I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service. I come onto social media to answer your traffic and police questions Monday to Friday, unless something happens, where I get to interact, to help you out. The goal is to educate, the goal is to answer your questions so that you don't make mistakes, so you don't violate rules that you didn't know were rules and don't end up getting tickets. Obviously, we also want to keep you safe and sound, so you can go where you need to go safely. Let's look at this. I saw a couple of questions that were interesting. 19.
provide lumbar support.
Oh,
so you fall
a
asleep
19. What is this? 19 Ryan Senior
now until
82.
Sunday, get
He
this
doesn't
hot
like
price
police.
on a cool queen mattress
Oh
for
well,
only
you should not be
$6.59
following
at the
this
Sleep
channel
Cool
then,
event.
because this is
Sleep
the police
well,
channel all
stay
day,
well.
all night.
Sleep country.
Okay, let's see here. Study hard and do some practice tests online. It works. So there was a question about, is the G1 test really as hard as they say? If you read the book, it's not hard. There are 40 questions, 20 are signs, and they're really simple because they're pretty self-explanatory. You just need to familiarize yourself with them. And then 20 questions about rules of the road. And again, if you're watching this channel, you are getting that lesson every single day when we come on the air. And I say on the air because now I'm not in radio mode. When we are broadcasting across social media, regardless if we're on the radio, we are answering these questions all the time. If you have questions, send us a direct message. Ask the question in chat. Ask the question in comments. I try and read and respond to everything. It doesn't always work out, but I make it my best effort. If you do put it into a DM, I will get to it eventually, or the Q&A feature on the main page.
Like soft and silky
it's the one
pet-proof
time. What's
carpet
the one
from
time?
$379 a square
Okay,
foot.
scrolling back to
completely
see if I can
installed.
pull up some
Or
questions.
beautiful laminate flooring from only $199 a square foot. Plus, do not pay
No, we're
for
still in
one
commercials.
full year interest
Okay.
free.
How do you apply to be a
Visit
Toronto police
anniversary
officer?
savings
What a
today.
fantastic question. We
Visit
are currently
more
hiring
about
both police
Zanian's
officers
20
and
locations
parking
or
officers. I just heard
alexanian.com.
about the official announcement of parking enforcement officers.
Scott
Go
McCarthy,
and visit us
you
on
know
our
Archie
website,
from
tps.ca is the short one, but
Real estate market.
www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. It's the long one that I've been saying for 23 years, so I'm used to it. But apparently we can do the short form now.
I'll guarantee in writing to sell your home at your
Okay.
agreed to price.
I am needing water. Did I mention I'm melting? There's no air conditioning in our office, and it has been that way for a number of days now.
Call me, Lino Archie,
Sweltering.
at 416.
I don't like it. I like air conditioning. I like it to be like a refrigerator in here. Yeah, I'd rather have to put on a sweater than to have to melt. That's just me.
What makes Turo special?
Is street parking free on holidays in Toronto? Sometimes. I can't speak for that unit.
My name is
It
Nigel.
depends
42
each
years
time
old,
they
I'm from
announce
Brampton.
it.
Back in
Very often on
2017,
major
I
holidays, they
invested
don't
in
do
a property
enforcement.
and
On
started my
certain
own
things.
home sharing business to eliminate my mortgage payment.
But you know what? There is
time,
someone who is a source of all this
my
good
car
information
more.
and the appropriate person
Started
to
to wonder, I
ask.
can cover the cost of my
The
car
question or the
and turn it
answer,
into another income stream,
the
just like my
title of
property.
the account is
Since that,
TPS
I'm gonna give it
underscore
to
bike cart. That's
Cars are
Aaron
booked
Urquhart's
so much
account.
by locals
Or,
and
of course,
travelers.
Parking
I
TPS
was
on
like,
TikTok and all
this
social
is
media
a real
platforms.
business. Today I have 3 cars on Turo and make
Gonna
around
ask for a,
$1,500 a month
let me know when we're
on
back.
each of them.
Join Nigel and thousands of other hosts on Turo, Canada's largest
Okay.
peer-to-peer car sharing
My typing
marketplace.
stunk there.
Share your car on Turo
Still
with peace of
commercial.
mind. All trips are covered $2 million
Could you
in
turn down the radio
liability
during
insurance
ad
and
music breaks?
24/7
It's hard.
roadside
Yes,
assistance.
I did
On
just that.
Turo, you'll get access
Brent wants to
to
make sure that we don't
19
listen to
free
Jerry
sign-ups
during the commercial
worldwide.
break.
Download
It's
the
tough because
Turo
I want to
app,
hear what's
list your
going
car,
on,
and start
and
earning
I realize
today.
that if you're watching
Turo,
on YouTube,
find
although I
your
can make
drive.
it in my ear only, then it doesn't get broadcast to anyone else, but it does go out. Let's test it out. If I say not on air,
On July 13th, by a Tim Hortons coffee.
Frank,
and
can you
help
hear that?
empower youth.
I've got them in my ear, but
The
I've
Jerry
got it so
Agar
it's
Show is
it's not
brought to you
supposed to be
by the
broadcasting. Let me know if it's working.
Making the world
Can
of
you hear
real
it?
estate investment
Do, do,
simple.
do.
Catch Evan
If you can
Sullivan.
hear ads right now,
weekdays, noon
if you can
until
hear ads
2
right now,
on
then this
News
button's
Talk
useless.
1010.
I want to know. We're back. We're back anyway.
This is the Jerry Agar Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
And we're doing another session with PC Sean Shapiro, the TikTok traffic cop. He's on TikTok regularly at Traffic Services, answering the myriad questions that come in about traffic law and procedure. And a couple of text messages quickly here, Sean, because I think they're really good ones. I haven't had one like this before. The person writes, I got a $325 photo radar ticket for running a red light. Is there any way of not paying this or getting it reduced?
So they have photographic evidence, as it turns out. So you may not be able to get out of it. You do have the right to take it to court. You can speak to a prosecutor. I have heard and actually seen people go to court and say, you know what, I did it, or it was done in my vehicle. I know I'm responsible, but I haven't got any money because times are tough, and this is the story. And I've seen them create payment plans or even reduce the fine. So it's something that might happen. It's not a ticket that we issue. It's issued by the city. And there's even special prosecutors, I think, that handle it. So you definitely have the opportunity of going to speak to somebody. But in terms of how to get off of it, I don't know what you'd be able to do.
And now a person writes, during a traffic stop I was involved in, I was recording my interaction on a phone that was not in my hands. The officer told me to turn it off immediately. What would happen if I didn't? And does he have the right to demand that?
I do not believe we can stop you from recording. You're totally entitled. We're recording too, and for me, it's the more cameras, the merrier. It doesn't bother me at all. No, you're allowed to record. Now, if you're being arrested and it's in your hand and we tell you to put the phone down because we're arresting you, that's different. But if it's mounted somewhere and you want to let it record, let it record.
All right. Here is Luke from Toronto.
Hey, guys. I just had a question about alerting to speed enforcement or like a radar trap by using your high beams or your headlights. Is that a ticketable offense?
So it's improper use of your high beams. So technically, if you're blinding the drivers that are coming up, that's an offense. But more importantly, you're working directly against making roads safer. So we want to catch people. We want to issue them tickets so that ticket changes their behavior going forward. By high beaming them, they slow down for a moment, speed up again, and then maybe they kill someone the next block, and that would be on you, in my opinion.
Okay.
All right. Thanks very much. Sorry. Let's go to a TikTok question.
Okay, we've got a question that says, let me pull it up because it faded away. Can an officer from the city give someone a ticket in another city, or do they have to wait for city's officer to come? It's a roundabout question. So in the situation of Ontario, we are officers and have police powers throughout the entire province. We can write Highway Traffic Act tickets. It's the same law. Now, would we write a ticket if we were in Kingston? We'd call a local a police officer to issue the ticket based on our evidence, but we can stop you. The authority doesn't change. Now, generally speaking, we don't do things that far away where we're in enforcement capacity, but if we were traveling to get a prisoner, let's say there was some unique situation, we saw something egregious, we would act. And yes, we could make it so.
Somebody just wrote in a text message here about the thing about using the question about alerting people to speed traps. This person writes, shoot, sometimes I do that too. And then in brackets, looks down at shoes.
Yes, I'm the guilt police.
Yeah, here's Justin from Brampton. Go ahead, Justin.
Hey, buddy. I just want to know about lane splitting in regards to motorcycles. So if there's a two-lane road and two cars are running parallel to each other and you're in the inside track, but you feel safer in front of the vehicles, can you lane split and get in front of the vehicles?
So lane splitting is the act of going between the lane. There's two lanes, and you drive down the dotted line between the vehicles. First off, it's dangerous. I appreciate that in places like Los Angeles, they allow it in certain situations at certain speeds. Not so here. We have narrow roadways. They're only 3.5 meters in general, and you cannot predict what a driver is doing here, especially when they're on their phone. So I would totally say don't do it for your safety, even if you feel you'd be safer in front of them. I'd rather know where the bad driver is than have them behind me to drive into me when they're on their phone. In any case, it's illegal. You can be charged with careless driving, depending on how it's executed. But dangerous driving is definitely, or not dangerous, but careless driving for sure.
I appreciate your insight and your valuable information, brother.
Thank you very much for your call. We appreciate that. Here is Vicky from Bolton.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. It's a question about, so I'm making a right on a red light. Obviously, I'm stopped. But there's a pedestrian crossing. Do I wait till that pedestrian gets to the other side of the road, or can I proceed when that person is the middle of the road? When I was caught driving, I was told they have to wait till they get to the other side of the road.
So at a signalized intersection with a crosswalk, you need to, you can't impede or you have to yield to the pedestrian. So you can't interrupt their flow once they're legally on the road. They should be looking both ways before they enter the roadway, of course. So if they're on the road and they're crossing, I would say wait until they're on the other half. They're now they're in opposing traffic. That would be the appropriate thing to do, but you don't have to wait till they get off the road unless there's a crossing guard present. Now, if you're at a pedestrian crossover, that's not an intersection related. That's just in the middle of the road and has flashing lights and they're marked PXO. That one you do require. All traffic must maintain a stop position until all pedestrians are off the road in a PXO. So there's a difference. Intersections, no, you just can't impede their flow. They have to cross to the other side or at least halfway through, so they passed you and then you can go.
All right, thanks for your call. So you could turn then just as long as you just don't brush their back pocket, you're okay.
Give them space. You can't predict what they're going to do. I wait until they're in the middle. If you read the law, it's all about yielding to them. You can't interrupt their flow. So, but it's all about safety. And if you do something wrong and you're turning, it's on you.
Frank from Aurelia, what's your question?
There's a lot of Jeeps and pickup trucks that have the wheels and tires that stick out past the actual body, like past the fender. Is that legal? Because there's a lot of cowboys up here, and that happens a lot.
Yeah, it's not legal. Your tires must be covered by a fender or fender flare or mud flap or some combination thereof. And people are doing all sorts of things that are illegal modifications to their vehicle. It's an improper tire, and they can be charged for it. The reasons it's unsafe and the reasons it's illegal are twofold. One, rooster tails. You spray water everywhere. You're not helping the cars behind you by blinding them with a splash of water. But more importantly, if you were to come into contact with a pedestrian, those large tires would do serious damage and suck them into the car. It would cause horrible damage. So yeah, improper tires, they're illegal. And I've had, in fact, on the show, an ex-copper reached out and said, why is this not being enforced? And the reason is that we see so many is that we focus on major things, speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and very often we don't get to these vehicles. We stop them when we see them, but so often we're busy doing the big stuff. But these things shouldn't fall through the cracks.
And what would the fine be?
I believe it's $110, but don't quote me. And if it continued, if you just refuse to do it, you could be seeing higher penalties. That's for the improper tire. If it's determined that it's unsafe, if you couldn't certify it that way, we could even pull it off the road and take the license plates. It depends on what the interpretation of the officer is and on what grounds they're using to issue the tickets.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Appreciate it. We're going to run out of time. So many texts and calls today, which I so appreciate, but hopefully we can do this one quickly. Can you use cannabis and ride a bicycle?
Oh, fantastic question. So impaired operation is really what we're talking about here. And on a pedal bike, you could. You'd probably fall down at some point, and that's not good. But there's no charge for being high or consuming cannabis while pedaling. If you're on an e-bike, however, you would fall under a motor vehicle description. It would be an offense, a criminal offense, for driving under the influence.
Okay, but you'd have to cause some sort of trouble first.
Well, it depends what the observations are. You know, on an e-bike, for instance, or are we talking about pedal bike? So pedal bike, you're pretty much not chargeable. We'll probably just end up getting an ambulance call for someone who fell off their bike.
Yeah.
When it comes to the e-bike or an electric, or actually anything that is other than muscular. So if it's a boogie board, or these are all things that would result in criminal charges for impaired operation.
Sean Shapiro at Traffic Services on TikTok all the time. Well, not all the time, but regularly in the morning and with us from time to time. Sean Shapiro, always good to have you. Thanks very much.
Always a pleasure.
Windsor was an answer.
Okay, we are off
the
the air with Jerry. Change my overlay graphic and take his face off my screen.
That's coming up next.
Here.
The iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Thank you, News Talk. We'll catch you later. And that's that. Let's see here. Removing a guest. There we go. They're out of our box. So much to talk about, and now we're back in the driver's seat. Instagram died. The screen, the app. I don't know what's going on. So no Instagram today. Sorry, folks. Now that I'm not even talking to them, so I think they figured it out that we're not broadcasting there. But we are where it's most important, which is TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Now, Twitter, you can't actually ask us questions. It's also, why is technology not working today or this month or part of this year? I think we need a technology reset. Yes. Okay, going to refresh this page because I want to get the live here so I can pull it up. Now, let me just plug this Volley app. Okay, if you go to, and I'll pull this up so you can see it, there's a Q&A section where you can send me messages. And let me pull that up again. Stop giving me notifications. There we go. If you go to talk.volley, why can't I see that? I'm going to tweet it right now. It's it's Volley app. Download the app. If you go on to my account, boy, this is not flowing nicely. Profile, here we go. I'm just going to retweet my previous tweet. It says, if you want to connect, this is the link. Where are we? Come on. Apparently, here we go. If you want to join, here's the link. I'm retweeting my own tweet. If you go on to VoiceOver Cop on Twitter, you can get a link to come into our space. There, you can ask us questions. You can send me video. You can send me audio. You can send me text. And that will allow you to beat all the technology that's currently not cooperating. That's it. I'm not giving up, but I'm pausing. Because trying the same thing every day with no change, I think they call that something based on a movie quote. Yeah, where some famous person said something or other. Let me grab a bunch of stuff here. I'm going to cut and paste. Cutting and pasting. Opening up Word. This is my play-by-play. Hey, want to join the Toronto Police Service? Check out www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. What do you do there? Well, you get all the information that you could possibly want, specifically about joining the Toronto Police Service. And we just posted or heard from Aaron Urquhart that there is a posting now for parking enforcement. So if you don't want to be a police officer, but you want to work for an amazing organization, go check it out. We'd love to have you join us after you apply. But all the information is there. If you'd like to win a Harley Davidson, amazing motorcycle. I like Harleys. I like all motorcycles. I'm a motorcycle guy. But you can win a Harley, but you can't win unless you buy a ticket. Want to buy a ticket? www.harleyraffle.ca. And that is where you can buy one ticket for 20 or 3 for 50. Why am I promoting this? It is to support the magical folks at Special Olympics Ontario. Oh, yes. Private pants, I can ride bike high. Hey, we were just talking about that. Can a special constable unit pull you over for speeding and give you a ticket for it? No, they do not do, to the best of my knowledge, any enforcement like that. That's going to be a police officer. Okay. Rear end collisions, always the fault unless you brake check, I believe. Okay, so somebody wanted to know whose fault is it. Listen, every investigation takes its own story. It's an investigation for a reason. It's not black and white. Most cases, the majority of times, if you hit somebody, you are responsible for that collision because you ultimately were following too close. You were ultimately responsible for hitting the other vehicle. They may have hit the brakes. There could be a criminal element if you could on video show that that person brake checked you. Brake checking is when they just hammer the brakes for absolutely no reason, with the intention of causing a collision. Obviously, that's a unique situation. All right, what is this? Oh my goodness. What happened? It's so quiet. That is so peaceful. The fan is turned off. It was exceptionally loud, so much so now that I feel like I'm yelling. Am I yelling? Is this okay? Is the volume still all right? Okay, someone turned off the fan, and I love it. I'm not going to enjoy the heat that comes with it, but I'm enjoying the peace. Is it better for you guys too? Okay. Poker chick is trying to make him laugh, but I don't know what you said first. You may notice I read some things and then the big smile comes because there's some funny stuff in the comments. This is so quiet, I don't know what to do with myself. Okay. What is this? Can you give tickets to Wranglers with angry grills? Okay, there you go. It worked. I saw some of these Jeeps that have the angry eye looking shroud over their windshield. If it's obstructing their windshield, yeah, you could. But I haven't seen one that obstructs the sweep area of the windshield wiper, so I think they'd be okay. But I do think those are funny. What I don't like are the things that are dangling behind trailer hitches. I think those are inappropriate. I don't like explaining to my kids why there's things dangling from the back of trucks. Not cool. Hi there. Thanks for the info. You're very welcome. We do this for you. We're all about you. Miss J. Hill says, I'm impressed at the knowledge you have and the confidence with which you answer questions. Well, thank you very much. I've been doing this for a long time, but I will say that doing this has actually had me hone my skills. I had to know more and research more and argue my points and defend it. I've had people actually write to the chief's office adamant that I was wrong. And then I bring out the case law and all the supporting stuff, and then someone calls back and says, well, actually, he's right. I try not to give guesses. I try and give legitimate answers all the time. And when I am guessing or making an assumption, I try and tell you that. I say try. I do. I say I don't know or I think. Very specific about my language for a reason. I don't want to give you bad information. So if I don't know, I don't know. And I'll tell you. What are the charges for 5% window tint? 5% window tint, and it is so nice and quiet in here. 5% window tint is very simply, well, it's nothing simple about it because it depends if you mean 5% light blockage or 5% light getting through. 5% light blockage means 95% is getting through. It's very light tint, and it's perfectly legal for the windows left and right of the driver. There would be no charge for that. If you mean by 5% that only 5% is getting through, those are absolutely illegal and unsafe. It means that we would actually, if that tint level was on the windows left and right of the driver, could take your license plates as an unsafe vehicle and charge you as such, as well as giving you the charge for obscure interior of motor vehicle with color or reflective tint. That would be an appropriate charge, an additional $110. But yeah, it's unsafe. So what is safe? 30% light blockage is the maximum amount that you can have. So 70% of the light has to get through the windows, and that is for ideal conditions. So if it's daytime, that's legal. Now, if it's nighttime and we can't see in, you're still eligible for that ticket for the obscure interior because we can't see in. But you wouldn't get a safety violation. We wouldn't take your plates because it's not enough to violate the safety. Safety rules are for when you go to get your vehicle safety. That's what determines whether you can be on the road. If you get it safetied and then chop all the stuff that got it safetied off and make it a dangerous vehicle by virtue of it not being safe, well, now it's no longer covered under that safety. You know, there's a bunch of things that magically disappear, like it's no longer safe. Okay. Window tint cannot be on the front windshield at all unless you have a motor vehicle that was manufactured before January 1st, 2017, at which point you can have a 3-inch tint strip across the top of the window. And rear windows and the windows behind the driver, like the rear passenger, can be any level of darkness you want. One thing to note, you must have at least one clear view by way of mirror to the rear of the vehicle. I imagine that's going to be amended if it hasn't already been to include video camera view, because so often we see new vehicles, prototype vehicles that have no physical mirrors, but you can actually see out the back. Even rear view mirrors that are either or. Sergeant Campbell was saying yesterday that he has a view to the rear. He has a dual version, so he could either see from the bed of his vehicle through a camera that projects or is fed through the rear view mirror mount, or the actual mirror mode. Oh, we have fire alarm testing. Why wouldn't we have fire alarm testing when we're broadcasting? Well, I apologize in advance. It's going to get noisy here, and we will mute. If we are muted, it's because it's a fire alarm. Yay. Okay. Hello, Sergeant Campbell. We were just talking about you.
Oh, can't join quite yet, but I will come back.
Okay.
But I'll tell you there's going to be a fire alarm.
I just heard that, and the silence is golden. I've been speaking over a fan for so long, I thought it was normal. I didn't know why I couldn't hear anything, but this is hot and wonderful.
So we're using science. We're taking both fans on the other side and getting it to.
I love it.
So we have one coming in this side, one coming on that side.
The blocking. We're not, no circulation. Okay, we were just having a science lesson. So the air conditioning is broken. It has been broken for some time. It stinks. Well, it doesn't smell stink. It's just, well, it might stink soon, but it's not good. It's very warm in here. But not having the fan just on the other side of the barrier beside me is amazing, because I hated that sound, like a lot. Okay, so much so that I think Q decided to not be here today because she couldn't take the sound. All right, moving on. Police never cared. At least that's what they say. Chris Burnt? I don't know what we're saying here. I think you're talking about tint. Yeah, tint has always been an issue, but our focus is generally on bigger fish. We tend to look for people who are speeding, driving aggressively, driving distracted, driving impaired. But when we see it, we still do it. I've laid lots of charges for tint because it's still dangerous, and you can't obstruct the interior of a vehicle. How do I know if you're wearing a seatbelt if I can't see you? Well, if I'm looking for seatbelt enforcement and I can't see you, you're getting pulled over and you're getting ticketed for tint, because you're preventing me from doing what I'm there to do, which is enforce the seatbelt laws. Granted, I don't see a lot of people not wearing their seatbelt these days. So kudos to you. If you wear a seatbelt, you're an awesome person. It is the number one way to protect you in the event of a collision, because it prevents you from being ejected from vehicles as they roll and do terrible things. It's a seatbelt restraint system, which means a seatbelt in conjunction with an airbag keeps you safe. One or the other does not do it. Okay. How do you feel about the Six Buzz post last night? Rob Baker wants to know. Yes, one of my videos made it onto Six Buzz last night, and I read the comments, like 700 of them, laughing a lot. There was a lot of funny stuff. There's a lot of people trying to be very hurtful, and if they knew I was a traffic man who has no feelings, then they would know that I have a very thick skin, and I just find it entertaining. But man, people try really hard to be hurtful. So I commented on a whole bunch of them, and some of the responses to my comments were just golden. In any case, you know what? Anything that gets our message out is fantastic. A lot of new followers because they didn't know about our account until they saw it on Six Buzz. So I think it's fantastic. I love that they shared it, and I encourage everyone who's watching to share it whenever they see our stuff and they think it's worth sharing. Share it with your friends, retweet it, post it. We're not holding it to ourselves. This isn't about getting followers. It's about sharing information. And yeah, when you share it, eventually they figure out that where to find the original source and see more of it. So you're helping us out by sharing it. So thanks to Six Buzz. We appreciate you. 579,886 followers as of this second. I have a ticker. If you don't already follow us, please do. I'll see it spinning, and I know you're there. Yeah, and share the live with your friends and family. Retweet. Like I said, we love being able to talk to more people. And that's what this is all about. It's about bringing education to you on your phone, day and night through our recorded stuff, but for an hour a day. Where can you get access to a police officer like this? Well, soon, many other police services hopefully will jump on board and do what we're doing. In fact, I'm coaching a friend of mine down south who wants to do just this. He's going to do. He may not be able to do it every day, but he's going to do it on a regular basis, and that's really exciting. We are creating a movement. We are helping to bring education to drivers everywhere. Making roads safer is really what this is about. And for those people who say tickets are just getting money for the man, funding a new police car, I got to tell you, the money doesn't go to us. We give a ticket, it goes to the province after they do what they do. And there's a lot of money that goes involved with the process. So yeah, there's money that comes in. There's lights to be turned on in courtrooms. There's if you fight it, there's people who have to sort it, process it, mail it. There's all sorts of things that have to happen. And I know there's outstanding fines for a whole bunch of people. If you Google outstanding money for tickets issued in Toronto, you'll see it's a lot of money. In any case, the goal is to give a ticket to someone who violates the rules so that they remember that experience and say, I don't want to do this again. And maybe that's a life saved. In fact, you should thank an officer that gives you a ticket because they caught you doing something that was dangerous and could have ended more poorly. It could have been worse than a ticket. It could have been the loss of a life. Not many people take seriously the speeding tickets. I'm only doing 15 over. Well, guess what? Doing 75 in a 60 is guaranteeing more serious injury if you were to hit a pedestrian. And people say, well, it's only 15 over. It's not just 15 over. There's significant differences, both in the statistics as to how likely you are to become involved in a collision and for how likely you are to kill the person you hit if you are involved in a collision. Anyway, I don't want to get down the rabbit hole of all this stuff. We'll talk about this stuff again. Right now, I want to deal with your questions. It is 10:12. We're here for, right till 11. What is that? More than 45 minutes. Yeah. Okay. I was rear-ended 2 days ago, and the guy tried to say he was trying to say you were at fault. What should I have down? I assume you mean done. If you were rear-ended, here's the thing. Buy dash cams. I won't tell you a dash cam is better than another dash cam. I'm not brand specific. Having an independent witness, a recording of what actually happened is gold. These days, people don't hang around. It used to be that people would stick around and speak to police and give us great witness statements. And maybe when people get really hurt, they still do. But minor collisions, you're on your own. He said, she said, they said, whatever you want to say. Independent recording is the best evidence you have. And sometimes it hurts you because maybe it was your fault. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be telling the story and helping you out. So I think you can get them for $100. Maybe you can get them for less on the Zon of Amma. And yeah, it's an investment worth having. So at the end of the day, what you do is exchange information because that's the legal requirement. If you have more than $2,000 damage, you got to report it at very least to a collision reporting center, depending if there's injuries or if everyone had their insurance information. There's certain circumstances. You can find out the details on our website. If you go to www.torontopolice.on.ca/traffic, you can get all the details about what if you've been involved in a collision. There's a drop-down menu there you can click on. The deal is that you report it, and then it doesn't matter what he says because the person involved in the collision doesn't determine fault. The insurance companies and the police do. I say insurance companies and police because we make a report when we do reports. We make a suggestion or determination for our records. Insurance companies do whatever they want. They do what they want. Big Bug Hall says, is it safe to ride a bicycle in the middle of the road if you are going with the flow of traffic? So the rules say that if you can maintain the flow of traffic, and by that I mean like the legal flow, not speeding. If people want to speed, they're not counting in the flow of traffic. But yeah, if you are doing 60 and a 60, then you are entitled to that lane. You're not slowing people down. So a cyclist is entitled to that entire lane. Now, if you're driving below the speed limit, which most cyclists are, stay to the right. You're supposed to stay to the right side of the curb lane. And those who are passing are supposed to give you at least 1 meter rule. If they're failing the 1 meter rule, I don't know how they do it without having a panic attack. I had a guy yesterday. I nearly had to get into oncoming traffic to avoid this guy because a cyclist was pedaling and he was sliding. He was halfway into the lane half the time. I didn't know where he was going to go. Made it for an interesting passing experience. So I hope that answers your questions, Big Bug. And let's go to Stephen. Hey, Stephen, how you doing? Is insurance on a PDF and on your phone enough to show an officer, or do you need the hard copy? Fantastic question. Thanks for asking it. The deal is that if your insurance provider provides you an electronic version, so that's an app that has some security features, then you can provide that. It's actually been amended in the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act to allow for electronic copies to be shown. Pictures don't work. I would argue that PDF isn't so great because I can make PDFs too. So an original copy is my preference, but an electronic copy, as long as it conforms, the company is providing it. So if they email you a PDF, I don't think that meets the grade, but you can argue that. That's my interpretation. I have to go back and look line for line now. But yeah, electronic, it's an app, and not all companies provide it. My insurance provider does not provide an app, and I get pink slips in the mail. Can I get a ticket for having lights on inside the vehicle when driving except the cab lights or LEDs? No. I grew up thinking that it was illegal. My parents said, turn it off, we're going to get pulled over. No, you can actually have lights on. Now, at night, that really affects your ability to see. It affects your ability to, your night vision, because especially with white light, your eyes are going to dilate or contract, I don't know, get pinpoint small because you're letting light in, and you need your eyes or your pupils to dilate to be able to see at night. So it affects your night vision. What's the solution? If you need to turn lights on, red lights. Many modern cars have red lights. Police cars have red interior lights. You can change the bulbs. Those don't affect your interior or at least your night vision as much. That's something pilots do, and military folks. Shapiro, I love your work. What percentage of routine traffic stops result in an arrest or investigation into something more interesting like drugs, guns, warrants, etc.? That's a good question. I actually have no idea. I can tell you that majority of my traffic stops were simple traffic stops, and once in a while, like I had a impaired driver who ran up a pole. Yeah, that was interesting. And then we found a ton of drugs in his car when we were doing an inventory search, and that had it just changed the nature of the investigation. It was totally not because of drugs until it became about drugs. In any case, it for me, it's been rare. Different people, different situations. Criminal, you get into criminal as soon as you have alcohol involved. So yeah, I used to get a lot of impaired drivers when I was on the road, but the drugs, guns, warrants were interesting. I remember. As I bear all, I remember stopping somebody, giving them a ticket, and something came up later. I missed it, and like, oh, that person had a warrant. And I had to try and find them afterwards. But it's less frequent than you might think. Big Jeff Fresh says, good morning, coming in from Twitch. And just to remind everybody, we're available through all sorts of different avenues. These questions were just coming in from YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn. But you can also get us on TikTok. It's just a little more difficult since they broke it. And of course, if you're watching on Twitter, my apologies. The technology is also broken. Just one more question. What's the law for importing cars? Importing cars. My understanding is for most of these vehicles that don't meet the standards, like for kilometers per hour display, if it's a modern car, you have to convert it. If it's over 15 years old, I believe you keep it and protect it. So if it's right-hand drive, you'd be able to drive it here as long as it's more than 15 years old. That's my understanding, not firsthand knowledge, just what I was told. Depends on what they did. Don't know what that's about. Let's see here. Can you sit in the back of the truck when every front seat is full? I'm assuming Chicken Soup is talking about a pickup truck. So if you are in a motor vehicle and you've run out of seats with seat belts, you cannot actually take anyone in the bed of a pickup truck in Ontario. Different places, different rules, but that's the rule here. I was on a motorcycle trip to Georgia. I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I remembered hopping the amazing motorcycle roads. If you're a motorcycle person and you want to see amazing roads, Georgia. Everything's like, it was like they tied a magic marker to the back of a goat, and it just went into the mountains, and everywhere it walked, they made a road. It's beautiful. But one day I was getting onto the highway, and there was just a horrible backlog. And here I'm a police person, so I see there's a collision. I go to help. What had happened was a pickup truck full of workers flipped. There were bodies everywhere. Pickup truck, bad idea. This is not a good way to travel. Regardless of legal or not, it's not a good way. I understand it was legal there. It was a really messy thing. Great way to have a vacation. Get involved with collisions on the highway. Whenever I travel, I end up without fail. I end up in a police thing somehow. Okay. We talked about angry grills already. What are the charges for 5% window tint? 5% window tint we talked about earlier. Essentially, it could be unsafe vehicle, but there's always the charge of having a, what am I looking for? Obscure interior vehicle. Okay, we talked about flashing your headlights. We actually talked about that with Jerry on the radio this morning. You know, can you get a ticket to flash your lights? Well, if you're flashing your lights, it's high beams, improper use of those lights, blinding the drivers. You could be ticketed for that, but it's just not the right thing to do because you're preventing us from giving them a ticket. I know that's why you're doing it, but if you really think about it, you're promoting unsafe behavior on a road, which could take someone that you love out of the game. If a truck is sinking in the bottom of the trailer, should it still be on the road? If a truck is sinking in I don't understand what that is. How do you have a truck sinking? Like quicksand? I'm trying to picture this. Do you mean if it's overloaded? If a vehicle is overloaded, or if the trailer is unsafe? No, it shouldn't be on the road. But I've never heard the term sinking in the bottom of the trailer. What does that mean? Okay, a lot of Vehicle Valley. Good morning, Mr. Shapiro. Good morning to you. What is this live about? This live is about traffic safety, traffic law. It's Ask a Traffic Cop. That was Jose Francisco, I think. Okay. Why are motorcycles street legal and ATVs are not? Well, motorcycles, if you talk about street bikes, are street legal because they're street bikes, and off-road dirt bikes are not legal. In fact, ATVs are more legal than dirt bikes because ATVs have headlights and taillights, and if they're insured and plated and ridden by a licensed driver, they can, in some municipalities. There we go. Fire alarm. I'm going to mute for a few seconds. That was really loud. It still is. Oh, that was bad. It's getting faster now. I think we're back to the business. They've turned it off. This is probably the first of 3, so my apologies to the horrible, horrible, horrible noise. I do not like these. I know it works. Can't they just make it beep for 1 second? I don't know what they're looking for. I'm not a firefighter. I don't know what's involved in this checking the beepy business. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. I have a whole bunch of questions that I just pulled up while the beeping was beeping. Can I put a Euro decoration plate beside my Ontario front plate? No, you're not supposed to display anything other than your Ontario plate. And if you're caught in the middle of the lane marking a left turn, can you get a red light ticket? I'm not exactly sure how you've written this, but let me go with what I think you're talking about. If you are in the intersection waiting to make a left turn, you've entered on a green and you're waiting to make the left, you're legally there. You have to also clear to be legal. You can't just stop there when it turns red. You have to clear. You're obligated. If it's red, you can't get into the intersection. If it's yellow, you're supposed to stop. You're not supposed to roll into the intersection. So I think that's what you're talking about. So you wouldn't get a red light ticket if you entered on the green. Poker Chick says that was awesome. Okay. We talked about that. Scrolling through. Can you... The angry Jeep stuff is really they want tickets to be you don't like them, it's ugly Jeep tickets, they said. Okay, let me scroll back. A bunch of stuff being said. Liz says, don't you need to leave? No, it's a test, but thank you. Yes, that was a test. They announced it was a test. If you were here earlier, you would know it was a test because I tried to warn everybody, and then it still scared the heck out of me. Trucks are constantly stopped on the road in front of my business near 31 Division. They make it dangerous to exit the business because they make it impossible to see traffic in either direction. What can I do? They're waiting in line, stopped on the side of the road, waiting to dump scrap metal. Okay, I think I know the area you're in. I would put in a report. You can go to www.torontopolice.on.ca/core, C-O-R-E. On that page, there's going to be a link for a community traffic complaint. What you want to do is submit a report, and I would do it regularly, but it's to let people know that there is to let police know that of the issue. Now, I say that, and I would talk to your neighbors and have them do it too, because they may be able to put no stopping or no standing signs on the street based on it. Now, also call 311, talk to your local municipal government to say, which would be City of Toronto, whoever your local MP is, tell them what's going on, because they can help you get that sign put up. And then enforcement can take place. But if it's truly unsafe, it shouldn't be happening. And I understand the situation. They are trying to do it. What is going on here? The ticker's rolling all over the 5-7. Oh, wow. So as of right now, because the ticker just went, 579,905. We're almost at 580,000. And it actually rounds up once you get to 50. So it'll say 580 very soon. It's so cool. It really doesn't change anything about it. It's a personal thing. I want to get to 1 million followers, not because I get any more money. I'm here whether TikTok does not pay me, but I want to get to 1 million because, it's the Million Club. This is cool. Right. Is a dual brake illegal in a private car? Do you mean like a driving instructor brake? I don't know. I think you need to be an instructor to have that. And I'm assuming you mean dual brake is that. And I got to talk to my friend Scott Marshall, who is a driving instructor. And we have other driving instructors that often are here who are currently in Nova Scotia, but maybe on vacation and not talking to us because we haven't seen them in the show. But we'll get you that answer. I don't know the answer offhand. Why would you want a second brake? Okay. I got a parking ticket on July 1st. I thought Toronto wasn't giving tickets to help in July. Oh, okay. So parking tickets, no. As of the 20th, well, first of all, parking tickets based on complaints were happening all the time. Rush hour parking enforcement started up again as of the 27th of June. That was the Monday, I believe. And as of the 4th, which was Monday, today's Wednesday, as of Monday, towing has come back to the city. So if you are caught in a rush hour route, you will be towed now, not just ticketed. Last week was just a warning. So if that was you who got that ticket on the 1st for rush hour route ticket parking, it's legit. There is no more helping. The whole relaxing on enforcement, gone. It's finished. We're back to pre-pandemic numbers and traffic volume, and we need to get the city moving. Hi, Aaron. We're talking about parking. Someone thought that Toronto wasn't giving tickets in July to help. Okay. What powers do special constables have? All right. Special constables have expanded powers. They, without getting into the nitty-gritty, they have different thresholds and things that they can act on. So whereas a member of the public, because citizens arrest is a thing. I got a video. Somebody asked me, is it a thing? Yeah, it's a thing. Citizens arrests have can arrest for indictable offenses and fines committing. A special constable can do indictable offenses, fines committing, or RPG, but has to be fines committing for summary offenses. So the explanation is more complicated than you're probably looking for. And then police officers have the ability to do far more. So they don't have the same as police officers. They're a step down. If you read the Criminal Code 494, I believe, am I quoting that correctly? You start reading about all the different powers of arrest and who has what. But they do different things. And, if they don't carry firearms, so if a gun is required, a cop goes. Let's see here. Ticketed for turning right on a red, no sign saying otherwise. What can I do? I'm in Alberta. I don't know what the Alberta laws are for that. However, I know some friends who do. Check out Safe Communities. They are a TikTok account that handles Brooks, Alberta, but Alberta law is Alberta law. So I imagine if you ask them, they will help you. They're awesome folks. Let's see here. Oh, Joyce, is it illegal for honking your horn at scantily dressed? Okay. I won't read the whole thing. But if you're honking your horn to get people's attention and it's not traffic related, unnecessary noise could be the situation. If it's for what you think it is, which is to get ladies' attention, could it be a form of harassment? Yeah, it could be. It's interesting. I haven't really thought about it the way you're proposing it, but ultimately, using your horn for a non-traffic related thing is unnecessary noise, and I'd go that route first. Okay. He only speaks for Ontario. Tracy, I try and get answers. So thank you. Yeah, I whenever we speak to law, or whenever I speak to traffic law, I'm answering from the perspective of an Ontario officer. And the Highway Traffic Act is different everywhere you go. Every province is slightly different. The general rules of the road are the same, but there are changes. There are differences. For instance, the dollar amount for tickets, we're $110 for a stop sign. Do you know that in Alberta, it's like $400 for a stop sign? Now, I think it's awesome because people who blow stop signs are dangerous. But people who complain about tickets here, don't drive somewhere else the way you drive here because you're going to be broke quick. Big time dollars. We're the cheapest in the province. Here it is. Why is it different? If driving with tints on is dangerous, why is it not in BC? Every law is different. There's only one province that allows tinted windshields, and I don't remember which one it is. Everywhere else it's illegal, and almost the same. In fact, I think we're pretty much the most relaxed with almost all of the laws. There may be a variety of differences to the regulations and how they're written, but I Googled this at one point. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on, I'm going to put some music on. This is I'm Googling the Googly Goo, the Book of Knowledge. Tint laws. I was looking up Game of Thrones earlier. I had a question about that. Okay. Tint laws by province. I like the music. I like this a lot. Tint laws by province. Okay, Canadian tint window tint laws. I had a good chart here. So, in Alberta, no tint. Front side for windshield, no tint permitted for front side. Back any, rear any. So that's basically nothing permitted in Alberta. Interesting. British Columbia, you can have a 7.5 centimeter tint bar across the top. Front side windows, nothing. Back and rear, you can have whatever you want. Manitoba, you can have a 12.7 centimeter tint strip across the top. 50% front side windows and rear any. New Brunswick, 70% windshield. That's got to be the only one. 70% windshield means, and front side, 70%. Now, I don't know if they mean 70% light blockage or light through. I would assume that means 30% light blockage, 70% light has to get through. This is interesting. Rear any. Okay, we got enough music for now. Newfoundland, nothing for the front. You can have no tint except in the back. So the driver compartment, windshield or windows left and right of the driver, nothing. Northwest Territories, nothing. Nova Scotia, nothing. None of it, nothing. The windows, when I say nothing, it's nothing on the front driver compartment, windshield or windows left and right. Prince Edward Island windshield. This website's incorrect. It says Ontario can have nothing, but that's not accurate. So maybe this is not accurate, but I'm using it as my source right now because I googly googled it. Saskatchewan says nothing for the front, 7.5 centimeter window brow. And Yukon Territories, 70%, which again, it must be 30% light blockage, 70% must get through. Interesting that they have it listed as 0 for Ontario. I know that should be incorrect. However, it is interesting. So I hope that answers your question. And I've just spoken about tint far too much. Another question about jurisdictions. If a Toronto police unit sees a vehicle speeding, can they pull you over? Yeah, they can. Totally. We covered that. You may not have been here, but yeah, we can stop you. We are police officers for the entire province of Ontario. Now, if we're way outside of our jurisdiction, we probably won't issue the ticket ourselves. We'd likely call a local police officer, and that prevents you from going to court in Toronto because we write a ticket. That's where we send you. So if we're more than if we're more than one jurisdiction away, so if we were in Peel, we'd write you the ticket with our ticket book. If it was whatever's after Peel, I don't go anywhere after Peel. What's after Peel? If I was in Guelph, I wouldn't write you a ticket. I'd get a Guelph officer to write a ticket. Okay. What do we got here? Different reasons. I got all these sidebar conversations. Can I keep my trailer hitch on when I'm not towing? Yeah, there's no specific law that says you can't. However, if an investigation took place after a collision, that would be noted, and you might have some issues with your insurance company. Like your frame is bent. Why? Because you conducted all of the impact into your trailer hitch, which then put it into your frame. Now you have a bent frame, and we're writing off the vehicle, but we're not responsible because it was something you did to modify. Maybe. Hey, Shapiro, are you a big Frank Zappa fan? I'm a fan of all music. I can't say I'm a Zappa fan over another fan. I used to DJ in like high school. That's nothing to do with my voice or just that I had a buddy that we were into music, and I was the tech guy mostly. In any case, we used to spin and we played everything. So I have an appreciation for all sorts of music. And I listen to a lot of Disney hits right now. I'm listening to Tangled from the from the animated series with my daughters. Yeah, that's a thing. Okay. Headphones while driving. I have a video that I got to re-record it because I want to change it now. But headphones while driving is not illegal in the province of Ontario. However, other laws or other jurisdictions may have different laws. Some say one ear open, others no headphones, and ours is headphones are fine. Hearing is not a requirement in order to be licensed in Ontario. So if you do not have the ability to hear, that does not prevent you from driving. So covering your ears doesn't prevent you either. Now, personally, I like to hear things. I'm blessed with the fact that my hearing works. So not a dig on anybody. What I'm getting at is I want to hear that warning signal. I want to hear sirens. So I don't want to block my hearing. Sometimes I don't want to hear my children. I have those noise canceling headphones. I have the Apple AirPods, and I would love to use them, but I don't because I need to hear what's going on. Boom, boom, boom. Have I ever personally been involved with a dangerous traffic stop? Could you share your story? So, truth be told, every traffic stop is potentially dangerous because we don't know what's going on in that vehicle. So it's one of those situations that's unplanned. And if you think someone's stressed out when they're stopping you, they probably are because they don't know what's going on. They're looking for indicators to determine their safety, and it's all unknown. And it's that moment of if you're complacent and you just think it's just hey, I just pulled them over for nothing. I heard stories of people who pulled over folks that turned out to have been just involved in a robbery, right? Armed bad guys who just robbed somebody. And they were pulled over for speeding, got a ticket, and were sent on their way because nobody knew. But it could have ended very differently. That's what I'm getting at. It's an unknown situation. For personally, yeah, I've had all sorts of situations where traffic stops turned into impaired operation arrests, that it turned into fights, that details of which really aren't appropriate for here. But yeah, it's happened. And I'm still here. So I know people who have had some serious fights on their hands, and that's not good. I've had some funny ones. I had one arrest where a person, I'm 6'5" and 300 pounds. Now, someone who was very small in stature, who was very drunk, and I arrested, just did not want to be handcuffed, did not want to get into the back of the police car, fought me along the way, and I was alone. And it was kind of funny because I picked them up and put them in the car. Here you go. And it didn't go badly, but it was the whole concept of resisting arrest when there was A, they were drunk, and B, they were not capable of fighting. Yeah, I found it. I'm remembering it through different. I'm not doing it justice by telling you the story. In any case, yes, thank you for bringing up that memory. It was entertaining for me, even if it wasn't so good for anybody else. We are talking about flashing your headlights. We talked about that a number of times. I don't want to get into it again, but I'm going to do it anyway because I read it. Not to leave you on a cliffhanger. Yeah, don't flash your high beams. You could be charged for improper use of those headlights, those high beams. Additionally, what you're doing is you're contributing to unsafe roads by telling someone to slow down temporarily to avoid a ticket, and then they're going to change or go back to driving however they were driving, which was unsafe. So if we can stop them, we might change their behavior. We may save a life by giving them a ticket. So if you get a ticket, thank the officer for giving it to you because they may have saved your life if you change your behavior. When I was 16, I assume 16. When I was 16 or 17, I got it was a stop sign ticket. And I didn't even see the stop sign. I was on my way somewhere. I was distracted in my own thoughts. I don't even think cell phones did they invent cell phones yet? I certainly didn't have one. So I can't blame that. I was just in my own head, and I drove through a red light. Not a red light. I keep saying red light. It's a stop sign. And residential area. Could I have killed someone? Sure. If I didn't see the sign, I wouldn't have seen a kid. That ticket, changed my future, changed everything because I became aware. Also, I didn't want to pay any more tickets because that's what I did. I paid because there was no defense. I did it. Additionally, I got a ticket for speeding, like 15 over or something on Highway 7 when I was a kid. Yeah, I don't speed because I got a ticket and it stunk. And it's that reminder, don't break the law, because those laws, not only are they there to protect people, but they suck when you get caught and then you have tickets and it costs you money and your insurance goes up. Reasons not to break the law. Okay. Pro football craze. It has been a long time. Good morning, coming in from Twitch. Good to see you. Chase, good to see you too. Is using a hoverboard in the house while drunk considered a DUI? Oddly enough. So here's the deal. Under the criminal code, driving is a motor vehicle. Could we cover that as a motor vehicle? I would say yes. I think that would classify as a motor vehicle. Being impaired, operating something other than by any means other than muscular. Yeah, I think you could get DUI for that. I don't think it would happen, but I think you could qualify for it. If you were on the road, absolutely. If you were on your private property, riding your lawnmower, it's no different than that if you're on a hoverboard. So yeah, maybe you could. I say maybe because it's very uncharted territory. I don't think anyone's ever been arrested for riding a hoverboard in their kitchen while impaired. Okay, mostly because of the lack of witnesses. Maybe, yeah, no. Okay. I have requested to reopen my provincial trial and haven't heard back. Any advice? Follow up. I can't really give you any advice because I don't know beyond that. There's a process. Now you could go into a courthouse and follow up, but there must be a process. Check out toronto.com for details. Is it toronto.com or toronto.ca? In any case, check out the City of Toronto website and they'll have information about the courts. There is a huge backlog and it's not getting any better just yet. Okay. Can you fight getting 2 tickets on the same speeding cam on the same day, or can one get dropped? If you got 2 tickets on the same day, means you were speeding twice. That means you had 2 specific offenses, and your driving is not so good. So at least it's not so legal. So you can certainly go to court and see if they'll do something for you, but that's not a defense. You're guilty of it. There's photographic evidence of it. Or at least the person who was operating your motor vehicle at the time, which you're still responsible for as the registered owner. It's really hot in here. Okay. Cam ticket for turning right on a red. No signs were there. What is this? I think we covered this already. Yeah, okay. Camera ticket for turning right on a red. No signs were there. What can I do? A red light camera ticket, assuming it's legal to make a right turn on red and you came to a complete stop, wouldn't trigger. If you didn't stop and made the turn, you ran the red. There's no defense for that. But I don't know what the Alberta law is specifically, and I don't know where or what the signs are there. You said no signs for I'm assuming no right on a red. You still have to come to a complete stop before you proceed. And that driving through at speed would trigger a camera, absolutely. Can you please answer mine? Call me Quincy. What is the question? Did I just cover it? I can't stand those questions that say, please ask about something that I don't know anyway. It's just I can't track it on the chat. It's difficult because it's just so much going on. Are all these rules for Ontario only, or are they across Canada? Miss J Hill. So as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you caught it. This is Ontario specific, and many of the laws are the same, but there may be differences. So check with your local authorities. Depending on where you are, there are some magical police officers on TikTok who are willing to answer questions. I don't know if they're as magical as me, but just saying. Rear window tints are limitless. Absolutely, there's no regulation there. You can block it out as long as you have a mirror view to the rear. And C8 Corvettes use the cameras as rear view mirrors. Awesome. So now you just got to make sure that they're clear view, operating, and clean. Okay, we covered tint. We covered tint. We covered this. Okay, lots of duplication here. I'm a cop in Ontario. Who is? Okay. Can you, we talked about that. Right. Looking for other questions. Instagram, Kaputnik, it's finished, did not work, crashed horribly. Lots of issues. We are having a month, we're entering 2 months, and longer, depending on if you consider the Twitter stuff, counting that. But we've been having a ton of issues with social media platforms doing various things. So let's list all the things that they've been doing. We can't get questions from Twitter. Doesn't work. It's watch only, which is terrible because I feel like we're leaving you out. So if you're watching on Twitter, please join us on one of the other platforms, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook. And I'd say TikTok, but it's currently broken too because I have the ability to, look at this. I can choose, what do you regret not doing? That is a random question that means nothing to me, and it is the question that they provide me in Q&A. Now, on the VoiceOver Cop channel, I actually get Q&A that you can ask me questions, and it works, but not on this one. It is with the folks at TikTok. It's just myself. I think it's just Aaron and myself. Aaron, were you around yesterday when I said that my VoiceOver Cop account works for Q&A? Oh, it does? Yeah, and so does Q's, but not mine, not ours. We are angry. Can you see the anger? Do I look angry? I'm angry. Okay, we covered that. Okay, I'm going to scroll down because these look like a bunch of duplicates. Boom, boom, boom. 10 kilometers over the limit is okay? Question mark? No, that's speeding. 1 kilometer is not okay. It's speeding. The charge is speeding. It doesn't matter how much over the limit you are. You've committed the offense once you've exceeded the speed limit. Will you get a ticket every time? No, I can't guarantee that, but I can tell you that you can be ticketed, and there's no threshold. There's no permissible amount of law breakage that we condone. You just don't do it. If we don't find someone doing 20 over, 10 over looks good too, because they're all eligible. And I don't want to go deep down the rabbit hole. I already covered speeding ad nauseum. I kept telling him I don't have a radar detector. He said his radar showed it. Oh, interesting. So we can search for it based on a belief, based on whether it be behavior or confirmation. And maybe they were bluffing you or not, I don't know. But they may have had a belief that you had it. And that is legitimate for them to investigate. But if you really didn't have it, you didn't have it. Okay. Poker chick, I didn't give him permission, but he searched. So if we're talking still about radar detector, under the Highway Traffic Act, you don't need consent because the Highway Traffic Act provides full search and seizure authority for the purposes of finding the believed existence of the radar detector or jammer for that matter. So it's one of those unique things. So if I believe that you have a radar detector or jammer, I have the authority under the Highway Traffic Act to search and seize that item. Now, not only can I search your vehicle, I can search the persons who are in the vehicle. And very often people will take the radar detector stuff in their pocket and go, have a look, man, nothing there. And then we pat them down. It's like, oh, what's this? Okay. So it's a thing. Moonlight. What's going on? They said, they're here. I'm here too. Can you walk and chew gum at the same time? Depends on the day. Not Wednesdays. What is this? It is not legal to drive with both headphones on. That's not true. It depends on jurisdiction. Emma. Oh, it's not illegal. I misread your answer. My bad. You're awesome again. I'm not sure what is this? I'm not sure an illegal device is probable cause if they don't know it exists. Okay, so this is a whole conversation about the search and seizure. We covered it. There is authority in Ontario. I don't know if you're in BC. That's different. Okay. Oh. Boy, a lot of conversation. Good conversation though. Hey, Wakanda, what's going on? We got cheating on token machines. You keep changing your names. You're very hard to follow. But thank you for announcing yourself, so I know it's you, the real you. What is this? Is it illegal to ride my push bike with a headset on? No, it's not illegal. In Ontario, you can drive a car with your headset on. It's not the safest thing to do. I wouldn't suggest it. Road safety advocates will tell you that hearing things, if you have the ability to hear, is good. Warning, yeah. Like honking horns, all those things. Now, obviously, there are people who do not have the ability to hear, and they are fantastic drivers. Why? Because they're paying attention. They're on double duty. They're not bopping out to some tunes. They're actively working because they are working beyond the disadvantage they have, which may make them say it's an advantage because they are working. If you add train horns to a vehicle, is it illegal to use them on the road? So it depends on what the purpose of that train horn is. I met a man in the States. We were in, Lake George, New York, for Americade years and years ago, and he had converted one saddlebag of his motorcycle to house a compressor and had a full-on train horn. It was magnificent. It was deafening and magnificent. I wanted one. I went and got air horns for my motorcycle that day. My horns on my motorcycle are very loud, and for good reason, safety. If I use those just to make noise, it's unnecessary noise. If I use it for a legitimate traffic purpose to warn people, then it's legal. Is there a law to ban extremely loud noise? Okay, I got to back up and have water first. Hang on a second. Okay, take 2, is there a law to ban extremely loud noises that's coming out from exhaust pipes of cars and motorcycles these days? I live on Yonge and Thornhill, and year after year, I have noticed that the noise pollution is worsened and police don't do anything about it. Thanks, Masood. Well, I thank you for the question. Actually, it's funny. We talk about this on a regular basis. There's two things at play. The Highway Traffic Act has a section for unnecessary noise. So it doesn't matter if it's your stereo, your exhaust pipes by way of defect, or your exhaust system by way of behavior. So I could have a stock Honda Civic that sounds like an egg beater, but when I hammer down on that gas, I'm revving and causing unnecessary noise. It's not something necessary for the operation, the safe operation of a motor vehicle. So could I write them a ticket? Yeah, I can. And I should, because that behavior is both unsafe or it's just silly. People deserve the right to enjoy their homes and the community in peace and quiet. So when someone is blaring music or revving their engine or modifying a vehicle so that it's emitting too much sound, that's negatively impacting the community. And there's all sorts of studies that say it's not nice. Now, can we ban them? Well, they're kind of already banned because modified exhaust systems that are not legal, or if you remove your exhaust system, it's not legal. So we can charge for that. Now, we have to see it as it's happening, and very often we're not where it's happening. People see the police, they slow down, they make less noise. We may see it, we may not. If we see it, more often than not, we are acting on it, unless we're already occupied doing something else. We're directed to a call, there's an assault, there's a collision. We can only do one thing essentially at one time, even though, trust me, we want to do more because I could be sitting doing a collision and see someone walk by, and it's just not feasible for me while investigating a collision to also stop vehicles and enforce Highway Traffic Act for noise. So it's an unfortunate situation of not having the ability to do more things at once. When you talk about motor vehicles and that whether it be a car or motorcycle have straight pipes, they've removed their mufflers. Well, there's charges for that specifically. And you combine those with the unnecessary noise. So if you had no muffler and you were making unnecessary noise, I give you 2 tickets. Now, what happens when I give you that ticket? You pay it? Great. Does it change anything? No, because tomorrow you're still going to drive in your car. Very often, people who choose to do these things in their vehicles accept that they might get a ticket. They don't care. So it's only through repeated ticketing that they may change their behavior. The problem is there's a gazillion cars on the road. And every other car could be someone who's modified or going to modify it tomorrow. So it's something we can't really get ahead of, or we're having a difficult time getting ahead of. You can't catch everybody. And unfortunately, there's so many that it's a continuing problem. In terms of motorcycles in the city of Toronto, I can't speak to Thornhill, but in the city of Toronto, there's a bylaw. In addition to everything else, there's a bylaw that says a motorcycle can't emit more than 92 decibels of noise or sound at idle. Well, majority of vehicles don't violate that bylaw until they're at speed, revving. So there's a behavior thing. So if we're getting the speeders, if we're getting the stunt drivers, if we're getting the people that are doing some of the things, we're also catching the other stuff. And we're always looking for people who are choosing to drive or behave unsafely on our roads. It's not just about noise, but we acknowledge there's an issue with noise, and we are actively looking at it. I say looking at it. We're enforcing it when we can, when we catch it, when we witness it. We can't be where we can't be. And traffic's moving. So you call us and say, it's happening at Yonge and Steeles right now. Well, by the time we get there, they're gone. And now they're at Yonge and Eglinton. And someone calls there. So we're chasing our tails sometimes. It's annoying, but we are dealing with it when we catch it. But I totally appreciate the issue, and I feel for you because I have small kids, and when they're napping in the afternoon and people are roaring by, I used to live near a main street. It's a problem. I still notice it. I live in the burbs now, and I still hear loud vehicles kilometers away, major streets away. And it's horrible. I go to sleep early because I get up early. So I feel for you. Anyway, moving on. Linda coming in through Facebook. Good morning. How you doing? We are doing good. Thank you for asking. Linda's always checking up on us. She calls us heroes, and I thank you for that. I am a traffic educator. I have a hard time saying hero beside my name, but I'll take it because Linda says so. I'm accepting it. I stopped fighting her months ago. Okay. In a traffic stop, if you have the right to remain silent, how do you get info from the driver? Interesting question. So right to remain silent is something that is, the verbiage is very much out of, American policing, and as we hear it more often in the, it's escaping me right now, Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to. So here's the thing. In Ontario, when you are in a traffic stop, you must comply with certain demands. You must provide your license, ownership, and insurance. You don't have to tell me anything else beyond that, but you have to comply. So if you don't comply, it's an arrestable offense. If you don't provide your license, ownership, and insurance, or identify yourself in the absence of that insurance, which generally requires you to say something, you can be arrested and held until such time as we can confirm your identity. So that's how it works. And people do get arrested for that on a regular basis. Not every day, but when it happens. Most people are smart enough to actually provide the information because not every... I want to say it's a choose your own adventure. You can get stopped for an offense, comply with the requirements of under law, and be on your way and fight it in court. That's what the average person does. Alternatively, you could choose to, I think we're going to have another fire alarm test. We're 5 minutes away from the end of the show, so hopefully it waits 5 minutes, but there we go. So alternatively, you can choose to fight and stand up and say, I am not going to comply or I'm not going to give you information. And then you've chosen to go down a bad road and you end up getting arrested. And what a way to waste your day. Whether you like tickets or not, and I would argue that nobody likes a ticket. Just follow the direction. Be polite. You don't have to like it, but be polite. Just get through it. Then you go fight it in court. Hey, you can go make a complaint afterwards. You can do whatever you want after. In the moment, comply with the demands. Okay. What are we talking about? That was our parents lying. What are we talking about? Was that lights on or saw? I truly believed shoes were a requirement and lights on were illegal. That's what I thought when I was growing up. All right. What's happening? How much is happening? Okay. This has been answered. Scrolling down. How do I know if my motorcycle exhaust is legal? Where do I go to check mine? Check your motorcycle on the exhaust system. First of all, if you have a stock factory exhaust, it was legal when it came out of the factory. It was sold and safetied in Ontario. It's probably legal. Doesn't mean you won't get a ticket for unnecessary noise based on your behavior, but it's legal, likely legal if it's stock. If you put on anything aftermarket, there's a very high chance that it was not meant for the road. Read it. It's stamped right on the side for track only, not for road use. It should say it right on the pipe. If it doesn't have baffles, if it doesn't have a muffler, if it's a straight pipe, you know it's illegal. Yeah, check it out. But you could also go to your mechanic and say, hey, by the way, that thing you put on, was it legal? They'll be able to tell you. More often than not. Okay. Don't save. I don't need to say that. Let's go here. What do we got here? Is smoking while driving illegal? If you have someone under the age of 16 in your vehicle, it's illegal under the Smoke-Free Ontario Act. If you are smoking something that is prohibited, like cannabis, for instance, that's illegal. Is it legal to ride motorcycle in the winter months provided the roads are clear? No, it's not illegal. It is legal. Sorry. It is legal. There's no restriction as to when you can ride a motorcycle. It is less safe. But we see it all the time, and we have people who have adventure bikes, and they do it. I personally don't like riding in the winter. I'd done it to get to a motorcycle show before I had a trailer, and I wanted to show my bike, and I ended up having to clean. Oh, it was such a horrible cleaning. I mean, we're talking toothbrush, getting it out to avoid corrosion. Don't ride in the winter. It's just you wreck your bike, and you might wreck your bike, but I mean wreck it just from salt and exposure to yucky stuff. What about if you're what if you're the passenger in a car? Do you need to provide ID? Travis wants to know, and that's likely in relation to a traffic stop situation. So, if you are in the passenger seats and you're not the subject of a criminal or Highway Traffic Act investigation, then no. And what might be a situation? Let's talk specifically about Highway Traffic Act. If you're not wearing your seatbelt, or I believe you're not wearing your seatbelt when I observed you, I'm investigating you for the purposes of the seatbelt offense, which is applicable to you as the passenger. Yeah, I need you to ID yourself, and you're obligated to, and if you refuse, you can be arrested. But again, most people don't think they have to, and then it escalates. And yeah. Ella Bella says, I love watching you. I learned so much. Well, thank you so much. We love that you love watching us. Keep watching us. It's great. 579,918. We're getting there. We're gonna hit 580 today. Just saying. What is this? Nope, not if minors in the car. We're talking about the smoke. Can I call the cops if someone T-bones me on my bike on their electric scooter? Absolutely. An electric scooter, depending on whether or not it's covered as an e-bike, might be a motor vehicle. If they've modified it to go beyond 32 kilometers an hour, it's a motor vehicle that requires license, ownership, and insurance. I would totally call the police. And it's a bicycle only if it's an e-bike, at which point you can still report the collision. Now, oddly enough, there is a specific location, a new location. We haven't talked about it in a while, so let's talk about it. You can report. The links are all on the Toronto Police website. If you've been in a collision, there's links. But there are 3 locations that you can do reporting. Now, if you call the police and advise, especially if you're hurt, you can call police and they'll activate EMS and all that jazz. But if you are going to report to a collision reporting center because you're injured and you want to make the report, you can start your report as a pedestrian or cyclist. Start your report online on the website from accsupport.com, I believe. And then you can go to any one of the 3 reporting centers, but there's one that is specific, the one here in the building that I work, 9 Hannah Avenue in Liberty Village. You can report as a cyclist or pedestrian here. No vehicles are allowed to come here, but you can report here as a cyclist or pedestrian. And so you make your report. You cover yourself. If there is any indication that that's a modified vehicle or going way, way too fast beyond, get the police involved. Nothing wrong with it, especially if you're injured. You got to go to the hospital. You got to get taken care of. Call. If you leave the scene, however, police will not come. They will not come afterwards. They'll send you to a reporting center, which may be the best thing for everybody because you just make sure you get their information. If they don't want to identify themselves and they've hit you, call police. All right. $615 in demerit points. Are we talking about we don't talk about distracted driving very much. We don't really talk about using that. What is this? Are there any gas-powered vehicles that are legal to drive on the road without a license? No, there are none. There are conversion bikes that people put gas-powered engines onto bicycles. That makes them a motorcycle, a motor vehicle. It is a moped at very least. Not covered under any legislation that would provide its use without license, ownership, and insurance. So if you see one, they are illegal. Absolutely, without question. What do we got here? Scrolling through to look for one more. Okay, Vehicle Valley is talking about seatbelts. If you're over the age of 16, the individual not wearing their seatbelt gets the ticket. Tracy confirms that, yes, indeed. If you're under the age of 16, the driver is responsible. And there's all sorts of other stuff for young kids for not being properly fastened in approved child safety restraints. Yes, cheating on token machines. We'll catch you next time. All right, I'm going to start the wind down. We will be back tomorrow. It's a regular episode. This has been an hour and a half, and I'm feeling it. Not to mention the fact that it's warm in here because the air conditioning is broken. But you know what? It's just the life of a cop on TikTok and other social media platforms. I don't mean to leave you guys out. Lots of cameras here. Lots of technical difficulties. I hope to have less of them tomorrow. And please, if we concentrate collectively, there's 124 people listening right now. Think about air conditioning. Maybe it'll make it feel cooler in here. Just saying. All right, we're out of here. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay sober. If you need help, call the police. Seriously, that's what we do. We help people. We're just people helping people. A friend of mine told me that, and I love it, so I use it. What else is going on? HarleyRaffle.ca. If you want to buy a ticket to support the Ontario Special Olympics, you can win a Harley. Also, Honda Indy coming up, and we're going to be there. So we're going to be live to internet a couple of times at least while we're there. Definitely come by and say hello if you're going to be there already. We'd love to say hello and meet you. All right, that's it. I'm out.